Bobby, how did you become acquainted with Jim Mateos?
Oh wow! I've known Jim for years, and he's like just through various things, of course, and his work, and he's known me. I guess it all sort of kind of came together when we had talked about doing something way back in 2005 together, but it didn't work at that point for some reason, and what happened was I was going to play. I hope this isn't too long of a story, but the way I started. All right, the way I started to work with the band was I was scheduled to play with Sebastian Bach in Evolution Festival in 2007, I think it was, in Italy, and I broke my wrist, and I wasn't able to perform with Sebastian. So Sebastian found another drummer for that show and the tour he was doing at that time. So at that point, Fate's Warning was also added to the bill of this one particular show, and Jim there was a conflicting schedule with Nick, who was playing drums with Fate's Warning at the time. So Jim knew I was going to be there with Fate's Warning, but so he contacted me, with Sebastian Bach. So he contacted me and asked me if I would consider playing playing with Sebastian and also playing with Fate's Warning that day. And I told him, well, I just broke my wrist. I said, I'm not even playing with Sebastian that day. I said, I'm out of commission. And for that time, it was the summertime, 2007. And he said, and I said, but you know what? I really want to do this. I said, my wrist will be recovered, and I'll have probably about 3 weeks or a month after I get my cast off. And I'd like to learn the material and perform with you guys at the Evolution Festival. And he said, all right, so, if you want to give it a shot. And I said, yeah, I definitely want to, because, it was a great opportunity. So during that month, luckily it was my left wrist, and during that time before that, I had enough time to listen to the songs. I charted out every song that we were going to play from that set list. It was a 50-minute set list, and I wrote everything out, and I sort of kind of air drummed everything, a little bit. And then as soon as my cast came off my wrist, I had those 3 weeks to sit down at the drum kit and learn the songs and play through it. And it scared me a little bit because, when you have that happening, you have no idea how you're going to come out of it. And I came out all right, and then as we got closer, I got a little more strength, and I was able to actually really lay into the drums, and I learned all the songs in enough time, and we went out and did the show, and it was just one show, and it turned out great. We did one rehearsal the day before in Italy, and we did the show. And after, we were all sitting around, and Jim said, hey, if I book some more shows, do you want to do it? And I said, hell yeah. So it kind of worked out pretty well, how just from one show, just kind of like jumping out on a limb sort of for me. And it turned into, a great working relationship with me and Fate's Warning.
Do you see yourself in terms of your musical style as a drummer? Do you see yourself more as a heavy-oriented or a prog drummer? What kind of influences your drumming? What kind of players?
That's an interesting question. I came from sort of the background of Neil Peart, Terry Bozzio, Simon Phillips. Which is progressive, but it also has a harder rock edge. And then, with the metal stuff that I've been doing over the years, whether it's, Riot, Halford, or whatever, I think that kind of, I gravitated towards a heavier sort of sound and playing, and I like that kind of music. But I've always liked, the progressive stuff, bands like UK, Yes, and of course, as I mentioned, Rush. So I think my style is just somewhere in between. It's heavier than the more prog bands, proggy type of music, but it's got the metal sort of sound. I mean, I'd like to think I'm versatile enough if a band would go, more lighter or whatever, that I would be able to sort of do that and do it well. And then, as I've done in the past, if the band is heavy, I could do that as well also. But I really like where Fate's Warning is, because it's so much on both sides of that, and the spectrum and of what the band is doing musically. I mean, it fulfills everything that I love and want to do as a drummer. As doing the lighter things and then doing the really heavy things too.
Okay. And about musical influences, Bobby, who are your right now your musical influences?
The bands and the stuff I'm listening to now. I mean, I've listened to a lot of Opeth in the past, a couple of years. Porcupine Tree. I really like what Catatonia is doing. That's just such a great band. They're musically, it's amazing to me. So, but I'm listening to a lot of stuff.
Okay.
The fans in Mexico want to ask you about Spastic. Do you plan Spastic Inc? Are you planning more records with your brother on that project, or what's the story on that?
Maybe in the future at some point. That's a project that once you take that on, that you're going to be working on it for a year, just kind of writing and collaborating back and forth. So I think maybe there would be an opportunity in the future, but right now it doesn't look like it, just because I'm working and doing other things, and so is Ron, but maybe sometime in the future. You never know.
The Mexican audiences, do you have a sense of if you like them specially, or what do you think about your experiences with audiences in Mexico?
Yeah, I mean, they're great. I don't remember so much as we mentioned the gig with the rain and all that, but I remember when I was there with Sebastian, we did 3 shows, and I remember they were great audiences, very passionate about the music, and that's always is something to look forward to, is when you go to a place where that people gonna know the material and gonna be really listening to the band and not just there because it's to hang out, or just because it's a rock show or whatever. People are passionate about it and know the band and the band's history, so I'm sure it'll be great.
I can assure you, Fate's Warning is a big band that grew in Mexico, has a big fan base, and
nice.
We miss you guys because it's been a long time. I mean, 9 years between records. Wow. It's a long time, so you can expect a very warm welcome from. I mean, we're expecting a big concert here.
Great. Sounds great.